Hey, Abby.
Hey, Ayesha.
What are you doing here? Oh, you're so much better at that than I am.
I know. It's a lot of love of Halloween, as I said last time. I love Halloween.
That's true. Happy Halloween week, everybody.
Happy Halloween. How y'all doing out there?
Welcome back to the What Are You Doing Here podcast. I'm Ayesha.
I'm Avi. What are you doing here?
Well,
spooky, scary skeletons. I don't know the rest of
I
the
don't
song.
know the words either.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your...
Anyways, so we're here for another edition of Ayesha's Scary Stories. Murder Mystery Scary Stories.
Yeah, murder, mystery, scary stories. And I realized that all of the cases I've been telling you, Abby, like, they're all pretty much solved.
Are they really?
Yeah,
so these aren't like unsolved mysteries?
No.
Well, fuck me, man. I could just look this shit up then.
Okay, you can look up the unsolved ones too.
No, but I appreciate you telling me all this so
Yeah.
I'm aware of what's going on in the world and
Exactly.
how to avoid these situations.
Well, just don't marry a middle-aged white man.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about... Well, actually, to be fair, in one of my research, it showed like an FBI agent was talking about this exact thing. About marrying a white man. No offense to white men everywhere.
They all were offended. And then all of a sudden, as soon as she says no offense to white men anywhere, they all were like, okay, I forgive her. It's okay.
The ones that know their privilege are like, you can't blame you. I get it.
I blame them.
Okay, so this is what...
well, they're the culprits, right?
Yeah, this is
like,
yeah.
Is it like a 9 out of 10 times it is perpetrated by a Caucasian male?
Yeah, so basically there's an FBI statistic that says majority of these cases that happen where it's like domestic, murder cases, domestic homicide cases, it's usually the perpetrator is usually a white middle-aged male.
Okay, so has it ever been where it's not a white male?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it a white female?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Has it ever been a person of color?
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
But I mean, those are taken like a little bit differently.
Interesting.
Like those have a different connotation.
Oh, okay.
Those don't get pumped as like these big media frenzy stories. Those are just like, black on black crime.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's not like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. It's not like
where
a
he
murder
got
mystery.
away with it for like 15 years and then new technology came out and they caught up with him and oh my god.
Yeah. Ooh,
it's Avi.
Maybe I should talk about a DNA. So hold on. Can we explain what's going on? We just started jumping into this. It is the week of Halloween, right? We talked about this in our last podcast, but I'm the true crime junkie. I always tell Avi a bunch of true crime stories, so we thought it would be a good thing for Halloween if every single day I told Avi a brand new true crime story.
Because I don't ever listen to true crime anything. I typically tend to stay away from this stuff.
Because it's scary.
It's not because it's scary. It's like, okay, yeah, it is scary.
Yeah, it's scary. It is scary. I don't know why. I am that one weirdo that like does not watch horror movies but loves true crime.
Because you want the real of it.
Yeah, like I like the realness of it.
It can't just be a ghost or a phantom. It's got to be a real
right,
Caucasian male.
What is more likely to happen? That I will get killed by like a real male or that I'll get killed by a ghost?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So to also that point, I feel like I'm pretty precautious. Like I don't stay out too late. I just got like pepper spray though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After why?
After like a weird encounter at a gas station, and all my guy friends were like, "You need to get pepper spray."
I was telling you to get pepper spray way before that.
Oh yeah, you were.
That's what I wanted you to say. Okay, for everybody listening out there, for all you people, get pepper spray, get a taser,
yes, please. Carry
a knife, and get your FOID card. Even if you don't buy a gun, you'll know that okay, I have FOID card, and I can go buy a gun any day I want to. But definitely get the pepper spray and the taser.
And you're saying this for all genders, like everybody.
All genders, yes. Because I have also been in a situation where, I was in a corporate environment though, so I couldn't carry anything around with me. But
that's a good story.
You never know.
It's not a good story. I'm upset that it happened to you, but like.
It also happened like 8 years ago. So
yeah, it's true.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe one day you'll tell us.
I'm not fucked up.
Are you sure?
Sorry.
All right. Well.
All right. What scary story do we got today?
Okay,
Ayesha?
so today is also based off of another. It just came out on Netflix, so everybody just like watched it on Netflix. It's like this. It's the new special. It's called American Murder: The Family Next Door.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. And it's the story of Chris and Shanann Watts. I'm making sure I'm saying your name right. Shanann Watts. Yeah, it's the story of the Watts family. Yeah. The Watts family were husband and wife, right? So a heterosexual couple. living in Colorado, in like this little place in Colorado. They had 2 baby girls at the time, right?
Okay.
The entire story really kind of takes place in 2018, but just to give you guys a little backstory, Shanann Watts, she took on her husband.
Did you just say Shanann?
Yeah, it's actually Shanann. Did I say Shannon at first?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Shanann.
Wow, I thought you were about to say Shanann because you wanted to say she was up to shenanigans. And you just fucked it up that way?
No.
But okay.
No, so, okay.
So her name is Shanann.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans? Oh. You're talking about shenanigans, right?
Actually, hold on. Can we go back to this?
Never heard of a girl named Shanann.
Can we go back to this, like, disclaimer? By the way, this is a very, very fresh case. I mean, it's not fresh. It's 2020. It's almost the end of 2020. This happened in 2018. But if you pay attention to any of these kind of cases, like, it takes a long time to get to trial. So I think he's been under trial for a little while now, so it's still ongoing. If I'm missing any, a lot of my research is a little old, so if I'm missing any details, please go easy on me. I'm also, please, if I say her name wrong, I say Avi's name wrong too, and I spent all day with him, so like, that's just me. That's just the quirky thing about me, okay?
We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah, no offense to like, I don't
all
know.
Shanann's out there.
Yeah, no offense to Shanann's family. If they hear this.
And Shanann's family.
If they hear this, right? Like, all respect to her and her family.
Watch us get slapped with a lawsuit because you said the name wrong. Her name was Shannon. Like, oh, damn.
No, it's Shanann.
Okay, I believe you.
Anyway, so Shanann met Chris Watts in South Carolina, where they're both originally from, and they got married in 2012. This was not Shannon's, or damn it, see, I did it again. This was not Shanann's first marriage. She was divorced, but her prior marriage has nothing really to do with this story, right?
Okay.
They went to Colorado in like 2012, 2018, 2013, and they fell in love with the state, and so they just moved out there. They just packed up and moved out there.
Love.
They loved each other. They loved the state. It's just a bunch of love going around. You ever seen that Dwight Schrute like section, or that part in The Office where he's just like, love is in the air, false.
False.
Or like, that's actually part of the show. That's just like a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah, they moved to Colorado in 2013, and they soon, later on that year, they actually had their first girl. Right? Babies. And then 2015, Chris Watts started working in like the petroleum industry. So he worked for like an oil and gas company. And they had their second daughter, right?
More babies.
Yeah, more babies. Shanann, she did have a job, but she really wanted to focus on being like a stay-at-home mom. So she had like one of those typical MLM, like kind of work from home jobs.
MLM?
Multi-level marketing companies. It's like your Herbalife, those kind of companies.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, those pyramid scheme kind of companies.
Right.
But she was really good at it. I'm telling you, like, she probably would have been a really good influencer because she was really big on, like, Facebook Lives. She always shared a lot about what was going on her Facebook. She was very public, right? And a lot of people kind of criticize her for that now because, like, sometimes she would also include Chris in there. She thought like maybe they were putting too much out there, but like she did that for multiple reasons, right? Like number one, she had a very outgoing and like social personality, but also number two, it's good for business, right? It's good to maintain a good relationship with your clients, right? Because it's all client facing.
Right.
So that's kind of why she did it. Chris, on the other hand, was the opposite. He was a lot more of an introvert. He was a really shy, quiet guy. That's what all of his family described him as, and that's also what Shanann's like neighbors described him as, right? But, whatever, they fell in love, and she was always kind of capturing the moment, right? In this documentary series, she's kind of always, like, preoccupied with, like, making sure the scene is the way she wants it to be in all of these videos. Like, there was a scene where, like, I think Chris was trying to be Santa for, like, one of the girls' first Christmases, and she told him, like, don't come in, text me when you're coming in so I can take a video. Like, she's very big on setting up the scene. She needs everything to be, like, documented. That's actually a thing in, like, true crime cases, is that all of these true crime documentaries, there's an abundance of home video. There's so much home video.
Yeah, that is kind of
weird. It's weird. Like,
yeah.
I don't have them so much home video of me. Do you?
No, I don't.
Especially,
okay, so if you really want to talk about, like, home videos, like, between me and my family, my dad had a camcorder, and he would take that everywhere. We would always record stuff. But then the problem is, like, those are all on these tapes. Yeah. And they're not video cassette tapes. They're like these small tapes. And then to convert them to CD, it's a hassle. Yeah. So we got to go through the camera, to the CD, to the tape, to the kid. Anyways, so
versus Shanann's,
just not that much.
Yeah, versus Shanann's is the opposite, right? Shanann, like, she became a mom in 2013, right? Which is when she started taking a lot of these pictures and videos. So she has everything on her phone. Like, and also whatever's on her phone is on her Facebook.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there's
all of this detail running back to her. Like, which I guess in that case, I have a ton of videos and, like, pictures and everything.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that's the background on who they are. The story really begins in 2018, right? So 2018, their youngest daughter is about 3 years old at this point. They've been happily married for about 6 years. Supposedly happily married, right? May 2018, Shanann found out that she was pregnant for the third time. And she, like I mentioned before, she records everything. So she recorded telling Chris. And Chris just kind of had this really weird reaction.
Oh.
Yeah, like he was just like, he didn't really seem too happy about it, which was a little weird. I guess also, like, they had talked about having another kid before, and Chris was completely on board. Like, he actually was really supportive. He's like, yeah, I really want another child. Right? So it was a little weird that now all of a sudden he's a little off by it, right? Also, later on in that year, June 2018, right, so the next month, they took this trip to San Diego, and that trip to San Diego was just, like, really weird. And so, just to explain who Chris is, Chris, according to all of his neighbors, was a really loving father. Like, he always put his kids first, right? But, like, there was a disconnect. It started to seem like there was a disconnect after 6 years together. There was a disconnect, like, in that point in the marriage. Like, they're, like, Shanann and Chris, like, weren't really vibing anymore. And Shanann couldn't figure out why. And so she decided to take a 6-week vacation to South Carolina with the girls. 6 weeks.
That's what's in South Carolina. Her
South
parents?
That's where her parents are and Chris's parents are. They originally met in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they originally met in South Carolina, and so she decided, like, I'm just going to take a little vacation. And can you guess what Chris does while she's away?
He cheats on her.
There you go. Bing, 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 bing.
I win.
You win.
Yes.
Yeah. You win. If this
never win.
If this is a game show on, like, what does Chris the dirtbag do, you would win.
What does Chris the dirtbag do? He cheats.
Fucking
what is
asshole? Yeah.
What is cheating?
Yeah. What is? I thought you were asking me, like, do you need me to explain to you what cheating is?
I know what cheating is. Jeopardy.
Okay. Yeah. So she goes on this 6-week vacation, and in June, right? And somewhere in June, Chris meets this girl, Nicole. Nicole is a coworker of Chris, right? And he's kind of, you know, he doesn't really feel it at first, but Nicole is, like, really digging Chris.
Is she hot?
I don't think she's that hot.
Okay.
I also don't think Chris is that hot. Also, it doesn't matter, but, like, Chris is, like, a little, like, he had recently, like, lost a lot of weight.
Okay.
So he was very, very into fitness. That doesn't matter. So he was I hate when girls do this, but, like, yeah, he was an attractive guy, I guess. Still a fucking dirtbag, but, like, yeah, sure, he's an attractive guy. I mean, we can get all this in a different podcast, but yeah. So while Shanann was in South Carolina, she starts immediately noticing differences in Chris's behavior, right? Like, you know, this is your wife. She's going away for 6 weeks. Like, you think you'd call her, right? Multiple times or text her. And, you know, like, he does text and call, but, like, actually, no, she texts and call him. He's, like, not picking up her phone. And she's kind of pissed because she's like, okay, cool. Like, number 1, I'm pregnant. Number 2, I'm fucking here. And number 3, your kids are here.
Right.
So at the very least, come ask about your kids, right? And just nothing.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of an incident right when Shanann got to, like, South Carolina. I didn't mention this, but, like, Chris's parents didn't come to their wedding. They actually just didn't like Shanann.
Okay.
I don't know why that was. The documentary doesn't really go into it, but they didn't like Shanann at all. And so, you know, Shanann's just trying to be a good daughter-in-law, so she does go to visit them, so that way the parents can see each other. The parents can see their grandkids. Yeah. And I think one of the grandparents ended up giving one of the daughters something that she was allergic to.
On purpose?
I think an accident.
Okay.
An accident, and Shanann flipped out. She was like, dude, what the hell? Like, my daughter's allergic to that. Don't give that to her. And then so, you know, obviously there's a little bit of hostility between the families. Shanann, of course, went to Chris like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why are your parents doing this? Like, your parents should know that they're allergic and they shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And then Chris the entire time just tries like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll talk to them. Whenever he did text her, it was always like, yeah, we're going to fix things. We're going to work things out. But he didn't text her or call her that much. So, of course, she's just like, in the beginning, she was like, oh, maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of his parents. Maybe his parents are trying to tell him like, hey, don't be with me. Right? But then eventually after a while, like, she's just like, well, maybe he's seeing somebody else, right? Which, let's talk about that real quick. Okay. So going back to this. So like I mentioned before, Nicole is the one that starts immediately liking Chris. Chris takes a little bit longer to get to in July. So it's already been some time. I don't know exactly the timeline here, like in terms of if it was 2 weeks or a full month, but sometime in July, Nicole and Chris start actually officially talking. Right? And Shanann kind of knows, like, something's off. Like, again, like, she keeps calling and texting and nothing is happening. She kind of has a feeling something's off, right? And sometime when she's in South Carolina, he says, like, he calls her, like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't really want the baby. And she's like, what do you mean you don't want the baby? Like, you wanted the baby months ago when we were trying to have the baby.
Right.
She was just, like, this is like that first moment where she realized, like, hey, like, something is really wrong in my marriage. My marriage might not make it.
Sure.
Right? Because before the trip had happened, like I mentioned, like, there was a little distance before the trip.
Right.
According to neighbors, like, they would fight in their driveway, and, like, you could hear them fighting. So it wasn't, like, all of a sudden something is new. It was definitely building. Yeah. But this was a bombshell that he just, like, dropped on her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know why? It's because he was getting a little tail on the side.
Yeah.
Sometime while Shanann's away, this girl from his work, Nicole, sends over some nude pictures to Chris. Chris exchanges nude pictures back. So there's definitely a little flirty sexual relationship going on there. It's gross. But also
gross.
Hey, he's married.
He's married.
Ugh.
Gross. Bad.
Don't do that if you're married or if you're in any relationship. If you're single, go for it.
So single, send nudes. But if you're in a relationship, don't send nudes.
Exactly. Well, you can send nudes to your significant other. And you can get nudes from your significant other. But you can't be giving it or getting it from any other person.
I don't have a significant other. Please proceed.
Anyway. Also, when they start sending or exchanging nudes is when Chris takes it up a notch in, like, his deceit. He downloads this like app on his iPhone that, like, the picture of it, the icon looks like a calculator, but once you click into it, like, it's actually like a secret photo storage place, right? Yeah, so he stores all these pictures up in there, right?
Ridiculous.
And also, like, they start, like, kind of talking more on the phone and, like, just seeing each other more. They start, like, taking more steps in their quote-unquote relationship. And Nicole starts to, like, fall in love with him. Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it doesn't become casual
and so does Chris.
Oh.
And the way you can tell that is through their Google searches.
Okay.
Yeah, like, Nicole Googles, like, she Googles something like, I'm the mistress, I want my lover, or I'm the mistress, how do I get my boyfriend to leave his wife?
Yikes.
Meaning she knows what's happening. She knows very much, like, she also at one point, like, searches Chris on Facebook, and then somehow finds Shanann on Facebook, everything, so she's very well aware of what's happening, right? Chris, on the other hand, Googles how, like, when to say I love you and how to say I love you in a new relationship, which is weird because he's married.
Yeah.
So he should already know not only what love feels like, but also how to say it, because you've been married for 6 years at this point.
Right.
So it's very peculiar that, like, he needs to Google that.
Yeah.
Like a teenager. Right. I feel like I did that the first time I had a boyfriend.
I did that when I found out what Google was.
Oh, how to say, like, when you know you're in love?
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, this is dope. Google has all the answers.
Well, yeah, that was a lot
Google
more...
didn't have all the answers.
That was innocence, right? Like, I'm assuming that was, like, what, when you were 6 years old?
Yeah.
Exactly, that was innocence. Like, I for real did it when I was, like, I don't know, like, my first real boyfriend, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. My first real boyfriend was, like, when I was in college.
Right.
And so, like, I got linked to, like, a thought catalog post. Like, 6 ways to know you're in love. And then I read it, I was like, I don't feel any of these things.
I don't feel any of this. This is ridiculous.
But apparently Chris did, right? And so eventually, Chris also Googles, like, potential, like, locations to go to for a vacation. Okay. And so they end up going to, like, the sand dunes, like, that's in Colorado, right? Mm-hmm. And again, like, still, like, really phasing out Shanann. And, like, Shanann, on the other hand, she's, like, sitting there, like, waiting. She's, like, can't understand, like, why it's not working out. And, like, she's like, why is he being distant? Why isn't it working out? She's like, maybe if he comes here, it'll be different. Also, like, if it's your wife and, like, she's been gone for, like, about a month at this point, and, like, he's not calling and texting or, like, I don't know, even sexting, like, it's a little weird. Like, I would be alarmed as well. Right. But on July 31st, Chris actually goes out to South Carolina, right, to, like, see the girl, like, his girls and his wife. Yeah. And she pretty much does everything to throw herself at him, and he keeps rejecting.
That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks, right? Because, like, especially if that's your wife, like, and you have to think about, like, she texts her friend, she's like, I don't understand it, we haven't seen each other in fucking weeks, like, you think fucking weeks he'd be all over me. Yeah, like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's also, like, so, that's, like, terrible to feel, like, in, like, a guy or a girl, right? Like, if you're throwing yourselves at your partner, and your partner, like, doesn't give a shit, like, it's just, like, whatever. Right. Like, in the Netflix special, I think she mentions, like, oh, yeah, like, I took a night shower, which he knows means I fucking want it.
Right.
And he ain't giving it to me. Like, he worked out, and he fell asleep. Yeah. So, like, she's definitely feeling, like, really, really, like, upset.
So she doesn't suspect that he's cheating on her right now.
She suspects it, and she does, like, confront him about it. And he, of course, just, like, denies. Sure. There's an encounter. Yeah, I said that already. I think, like, his whole thing is, you know, she's like, why are you so distant if, like, there's got to be somebody else? And he's like, there's not anybody else. And she's like, then why are you distant? Yeah. And he says, you know, I just lost interest in you. That sucks. Which is a fucking dagger.
That sucks.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it hurts. Definitely not the best way. That's definitely not what she wanted. And she, you know, was just pleading for some way to make it work. Okay. Right? She was like, let's go to marriage counseling. And he's like, no. She's like, what if I get counseling books? Right? And he's like, yeah, maybe I'll read them. At this point, like, he's kind of done with it. And Shanann's just, like, doing whatever she can to keep him from, you know, just to keep him there, right? She had, like, this entire gender reveal planned, and she canceled it because Chris didn't really fucking feel into it. Like, she was hurting, you know? In August, in very, very early August, to remind you, it's July 31st, right? A couple days later, they come back home to Colorado separately, right? Like, I think Chris came home first, and then Shanann and the girls came home afterwards. And she had to go to this work thing on, like, August 9th, but before she left, she made sure to write, like, a letter. Sure. Or, like, hey, saying, like, it's her one last chance to, like, profess love to this guy and trying to make it work. While she was at this work trip, this is something I relearned today while doing research. There was, like, this weird picture that, like, Chris sent to Shanann. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be, he was saying, like, it's supposed to be of their girls. And it's, like, one of his younger girls, like, sitting on, like, laying down on the couch. Mm-hmm. And her legs are there's a blanket on top of her, and her legs are sticking out. But it doesn't even look like, it looks like a Barbie doll, actually. It doesn't look like an actual human doll, a human being. Okay. And it's just a really weird, cryptic picture.
Like, he sends it to Cheyenne without any, or Shanann. He sends it to Shanann without any context.
I think it was saying, like, oh yeah, this is Bella. Like, and it was weird, right? Okay.
That is weird.
So, and while this is all happening, like, again, like, she had to travel a lot. She was really good at her job, her work from home job, that she traveled a lot for work. So Chris kind of had all this ample time to kind of, like, you know, be a fucking dirtbag, right? And so even when he got back, he was lying, saying, oh, I'm going to a baseball game, but he's going out to dinner. Yeah, and she knew all that. She knew all that. Like, again, they have credit card statements, right? And she'd be like, okay, like, let's say you went to, like, I don't know, like, let's say you went to, like, Buffalo Wild Wings, right? Buffalo Wild Wings, like, for one person costs, like, how much? Like, $12? Yeah. Right? Even if you go with two people, maybe under 30. Yeah. He went to this, like, something similar to a Buffalo Wild Wings. He went to a similar location. He racked up, like, over $60 to $80. And she's like, how the fuck do you do that just by yourself?
Yeah, you can't go by yourself doing that. Like, unless you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, and even if you go with your friends, it's like, how the fuck did you get $60 worth of, like, food? Like, it just didn't make sense. Sure. Right? And so she confronted him about it, and of course he's like, no, I'm not dating anybody, what are you talking about? And the entire time, this girl, Nicole, falling in love with him, like, rapidly. Like, she Googles wedding dresses, you know, just for fun. Just you know, why not? She Googles, like, how to, again, continues to Google, like, how to get your man to leave his wife. I'm the mistress. She does something else, like, I think she looked up Ashley Madison or something, like, the cheating website. Yeah. Like, she is just, like, there's something, like, she knows everything that's going on. She doesn't care. She's, like, madly in love with Chris.
Wow. So she knows he's married.
So, the whole story. Yeah. Of the unfortunate stuff that happened to Shanann starts on August 13th, the wee hours of August 13th, right?
Okay.
So like I mentioned before, she went to Arizona for like a work retreat, right?
Mm-hmm.
She went with one of her friends, right? So when they flew back to Colorado, like their flight was delayed. She didn't end up getting home until like 1:30.
Okay.
Her friend I think they parked the car at the airport. Her friend had like drove her back, dropped her off, and then went home, right? Shanann also had a doctor's appointment, like her OBGYN, like earlier that same day, right?
She's pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
1:30 a.m. A couple hours later, she's supposed to have like a doctor's appointment, right? So she just goes in and nobody else hears from her, right? There's video footage of. Well, hold on. Actually, let me go back to her friend, right?
Okay.
Her friend again, like knew a lot of stuff that was happening. Like she knew that like her like. You know, their marriage wasn't going super strong and, like, she was having issues, but she also knew that she had a doctor's appointment. So, being the good friend that she is, she's like, hey, girl, like, how's your doctor's appointment? And when she doesn't answer back right away, it was really alarming, right? So, like I mentioned before, this girl is always, like, actually, Shanann's kind of like me, right? Like, I'm kind of always, like, recording things and, like, I'm always on my phone. Like, so if I'm not reachable, that's a problem, right? Like, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Very similar instance here. So when she wasn't responding, like, her friend, being a good friend, was like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
So she decides to go over to her house to see what's going on, right? She calls her, no answer. She tries to open the door, no answer, right? And then this door had like one of those like front bell alarms, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if there's like activity, it gets tipped off to one of the owners.
Right.
So Chris figured it out. Chris is like, and of course, like there's a camera, right? So he can very clearly see the friend who it is, right? I'm not saying the friend's name just to make it a lot less confusing.
Okay.
Her friend's name is also Nicole, so that's why I'm not saying the name.
Okay.
Yeah,
The friend. Let's just call her the friend.
yeah, exactly. So the friend,
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
calls the friend. It was like, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, look, I'm just here to visit Shanann." She's like, "Oh, Shanann's at a play date with the girls."
Yeah.
And then I guess like the garage, like they kind of peer into a window in the garage, and they notice that the Lexus, Shanann's Lexus, right, was still there with both car seats, and the only other car they have is Chris's work truck, and Chris went to work that morning, right? I didn't mention that just yet, but Chris went to work that morning.
Okay.
So it's like, how could she have left if her car is here?
Right.
With both car seats.
Yeah.
How could she have taken her kids? Like, something doesn't make sense. So she, yet again, tries to break into the house, right? And Chris calls back, is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I told you where she is. Stop trying to break into my house.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm going to call the police.
Yeah.
And then Chris is like, okay, nothing's wrong. Don't call the police. Why are you calling the police?
Right.
Right? And then she still does. She calls the police. Is like, hey, can you come in for a welfare check?
Yeah.
Right? And so the police don't have a warrant. They have no reason to actually search for anything. So they can't go into that house without Chris's permission. Right? So they call Chris, and Chris immediately races over. And then all of a sudden, he just, like, changes his tune. He's like, yeah, where's Shanann? Like, he starts getting... And they go into the house, and they notice a few things, right? They notice, like, number one, that...
The police go into the house.
Yeah, the police, everybody goes in the house, right?
Okay,
Once Chris gets inside, he allows access to everybody that's there.
Okay.
The friend and the police.
Okay.
Right? So... The house was a little disorderly, which is a little odd for Shanann. Shanann likes to keep things very organized. Also, they found that Shanann's phone was like wedged in the couch cushions, which is very unlike Shanann. Because again, she doesn't leave her phone anywhere. She always takes her phone with her.
Right.
So it's like really peculiar. Why is Shanann's phone in here? Also, the bedsheet for the master bedroom and both of the girls' bed sheets are gone, which is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, where the fuck is Shanann? How come we obviously can't reach her, but where the fuck is she, right? And so I think they were also going back to when I remember I said something about 5:30.
Okay.
So 5:30 a.m. going back to it.
Yeah.
Well, I think let me set up the scene a little bit better. The police talked to a lot of the neighbors, like, hey, have you seen anything? And now because of home security systems, you can see more than just what's happening in your driveway. You can see what's happening in your neighbor's driveway.
Yeah.
So they go to Chris's neighbor's house, and it's like, hey, like, do you have any footage? And he's like, yeah, actually, I have security footage.
Right.
There's security footage showing Chris, like, backing up his work truck into the driveway to load something into the car at 5:30. Now, because he works in gas and, like, petroleum, it's not that odd that he has to leave at 5:30.
Sure.
What is odd is that he's putting his work truck in the driveway. I guess, like, neighbors had mentioned that, like, the work truck was never in the driveway because it kind of leaked oil. And so Shanann hated that. So she always parked on the street. Okay. So it was very peculiar that he not only drove it into the driveway, he backed it up into the driveway, actually.
Right.
And he loaded 3 items in there. He actually loaded 2 of these items, and he actually loaded all these items into like 1 to 2 oil trucks or oil tanks. Your face right now is very...
Dude, that's like Breaking Bad shit right there.
Dun, dun, dun!
Dun, dun, dun!
Right, so then they're, of course, like, the fuck are you loading in there, Chris? Oh, just some stuff for work.
What stuff for work?
This is for work.
What stuff for work?
And then, like, Chris is, like, explaining everything, and like I said before, he's a shy, quiet guy.
Okay.
But in this instance, he's very talkative.
Oh.
I was like, he's nervous. And so there's footage in the Netflix documentary where the neighbor straight up says, I've never seen this guy be this talkative. Like, it's a little weird.
Oh.
It's a little weird.
Shit.
Like, he's never like this. So, of course, they take him into questioning, right?
Yeah.
They have to, they need to figure everything out. But before they did that, he actually did a media interview. And the media interview, he just looks really, really bad. Actually, I think his mother-in-law actually told him not to do it.
Like, he physically looks bad, or like he
like
makes...
he's a bad actor. He's a, like, yeah, it's something seems off.
Okay.
Like, he's saying, like, I don't know where my girls are, and I need to find them, blah, blah. But he himself just, like, it just doesn't seem sincere, right? And if you look back at it, it's, like, eerie, right? It's gross. But they take him in for questioning, and, of course, they have to... And, again, like, a lot of these cases, it's usually an act of passion. It's usually, like, the person's significant other. Right? So they have to do their due diligence and rule him out. And they eventually ask, like, hey, do you mind taking a polygraph test? And he agrees. By the way, polygraph tests are, like, kind of bullshit. Like, they have not worked in a number of occasions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, like, people have their choice opinions on them. But, yeah, like, no, like, polygraphs are kind of bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah. But he does agree to take a poly test. This is the one instance where it was not bullshit.
Oh.
Yeah, so he does agree to take a polygraph test.
Sure.
And he fails it.
Oh.
Yeah. In the polygraph test, he straight up denies doing anything to Shanann or the kids. He straight up's like, I didn't do anything, right? While all this is happening, we have a little snitch on our hands. I don't know the name of this person, but apparently this is Chris's coworker. He reaches out to police. Because, like, again, like, it's publicized at this point,
sure.
Right? He reaches out to police and sends over, like, copies of emails, and not only just emails, but also, like, his, like, I think, like, his GPS, because, again, it's a work truck, right? So I think in the work truck, they're able to tell a GPS, so they're not only able to tell, like, where he was, but what time he was there.
Yeah.
Right, so he sent this all over to the police investigators, which is, like, good for that guy. Like, that is a good guy right there.
That's bold. That is
bold, and, like, we can talk about this after I'm done, but, like, that's a good thing to do. Like, that's a good Samaritan.
Yeah.
So basically he fails the polygraph test, and there's video of this, like, in the special where they bring him back in and they straight up said, like, you failed.
Oh shit.
And he's trying to be like, I don't know how I failed, and he's like, no, and they're straight up like, they're like, you really don't need to do this whole bullshit of, like, trying to convince us you didn't, because we know you're lying. Oh. Like, you're better off telling us the truth.
Okay.
And he's like, no, I didn't do it. He's like, no, dude. You failed the polygraph test. Like, you need to tell us what you did.
Right.
And they're still talking very calmly to him. Like, they're just, like, trying to almost, like, listen, we get it. It's really hard. Yeah. Like, just, but you gotta tell us, man, you lied. We know you lied. Like, there's no point in trying to tell us you didn't lie because we know you lied.
Right.
And then eventually he's like, can I just talk to my dad? And at this point, like, his dad is there. I think, like, his dad found out and, like, took a trip back to, like, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And in talking to his dad, he confesses everything.
Oh.
This is what he confesses.
Yeah.
He confesses that when Shanann came home at 1:30 a.m., that they had a lengthy talk about their marriage and they had decided that they were going to separate, that Shanann went into her daughter's rooms and strangled both of her daughters. Chris came in, saw the scene, and blacked out and killed Shanann.
What the fuck?
I know, right? Wild. Also, remember how I told you he was loading something? He was loading he was loading his
the bodies.
The bodies.
Oh, dude, what the fuck?
Into an oil drum.
What the fuck?
And then remember that thing about the GPS? Remember the thing about the GPS? They had retraced, they had taken those coordinates from the GPS, the police did, and they used a drone to kind of follow where he was going. At the last point, they find all 3 bed sheets.
Oh, shit.
So he killed their bodies, wrapped them up in bed sheets, loaded them into his car, and then dropped them off somewhere in his work site.
Sloppy.
Fucking so sloppy. So sloppy. And I don't believe that story. I mean, well, after that, he was charged, obviously.
Oh, you don't believe she strangled her kids thing?
No.
You
I
think
very much think he strangled all three of them. Yeah. If anything, I think he strangled the kids first, and then Shanann came home and he strangled her. I think that's what happened.
Oh, shit,
yeah.
dude. Okay, so what happened after that?
Well, he got charged with 5 counts of murder, and the trial is still, like, ongoing.
Wait,
like,
5 counts of murder?
Yeah. I don't know why.
That's interesting. Okay.
I don't know why.
So then what happened with his relationship with his mother?
I'm so glad you asked. So, you know what's funny is this is not the first time this kind of story has broken out and gotten this much media attention. Mm-hmm. Remember when I told you about a guy named Scott Peterson?
Yes.
Now, Scott Peterson is really interesting because Scott Peterson, there actually is no conclusive evidence that he did it.
Okay.
But Scott Peterson is literally sitting in jail because people think that he killed his pregnant wife.
Okay.
And he also was having an affair. Now, the girl he was having an affair with was named Amber Frey, and is like a big name, right?
Yeah.
So this little Miss Nicole, she starts Googling things about Amber Frey. Mm-hmm. Things like, did people hate Amber Frey after she came out? And like, Amber Frey book deal, how much money did she make from the book deal?
Right.
Things like that. So, really, it was just kind of disgusting.
Okay.
And Nicole in this entire thing was kind of disgusting.
Okay.
I think they did have like they had a 51-minute conversation, like around the time, like right after they had the bodies were killed. Yeah. Because we know the bodies were killed from sometime between 1:30 to 5:30, right? Because that's when he loads them in. The babies could be even earlier, right? Depending. So at some time after that is when he called Nicole and they talked. Yeah. They talked for 51 minutes. Who knows about what? Mm-hmm. But Nicole was seen Googling how to delete text messages and if police could recover text messages that were deleted.
Dumb bitch.
Dumb bitch.
I got dumb bitch-itis.
I got dumb bitch-itis. I might even be a side chick.
I swear to God, dumb bitch. Yep. So yeah, this man is literally rotting in jail where he should be. Damn. Where he fucking should be.
So wait, what? But they never revealed why he did it? Is it because of the affair? Or?
Yeah, I think he did it because of the affair. I think he did it because a lot of times, it was the same thing that they used for Scott Peterson, right? Like, they claim that they did it in order to get a new life, right? Like, they were sick of the old life and they wanted a new life, right? I mean, this is a guy who was happily married for 6 years, quote-unquote happily. He had 2 kids, and I think, like, he just didn't want that life anymore. I think he wanted to go back and be a bachelor and start dating around, and, like, he had this hot girl from work, like, really into him.
So instead of divorcing or, like, being like restraining order, I want to stay away from you. Mm-hmm. Oh, but maybe, you know what? A big cause of a lot of this shit is like, I don't want to pay child support. And with a 3rd kid on the way, she's going to definitely want more child support, you know? So that's a lot, you know, especially for 3 kids, 3 underage kids. Yeah.
But also, like, there's, like I mentioned before, like, there could just be, like, maybe he's just not right in the head. Maybe he's incapable of feeling with love.
How old was he?
He was, like, they were in, like, their 30s.
Right, okay, but, like, yeah, you're right. Because, like, I can't say concrete facts of, like, okay, the prior 30 years, like, you know, had some sort of mental deficiency, you know, then all of a sudden you just get to a breaking point where it just breaks, and bam. Yeah.
And it's just really upsetting because, like, Shanann did everything she possibly could for the marriage, and just Chris just came and killed her.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and of course he denied the crap out of it for the longest time. Right. He's just like a disgusting guy. And then that's the thing. One of my... I not only watched the Netflix special, and the Netflix special does a really good job. Like, they straight up recovered text messages, right? So you can see her, like, trying with Chris. Right. But you can also see her, like, talking to her girlfriend saying, like, he doesn't want me anymore. Like, and just, like... I don't think it's a girl thing. I think it's just a person thing. Anyone that's been heartbroken before or been dumped before can really look at that and just have such a feel like, man, like when you want to be with somebody and like they just don't want to be with you. Yeah. And how hard that feels. Right. So like it's that, and then just knowing what happens to her at the end of the day. And so going back to this, like that weird picture that he took, a lot of people are like, this might be foreshadowing. Like maybe he kind of knew he was going to do this. Yeah. Right? Because again, he sent this picture while she was on this work trip. When she came back from the work trip is when she died. Right. So, like, maybe he was plotting on doing this the entire time. Maybe this was premeditated. God damn. Right? Damn. Yeah. Which is that premeditation is what kind of triggers if it's, like, 1st, 2nd, 3rd degree. Like, that's what the basis is for the degree of, like, death. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Damn. Yeah. So, Chris Watts murdered...
Piece of shit. Yep.
Murdered his 2 daughters and his wife. Mm-hmm. And then... But they never proved whether he actually murdered his daughters.
Well, he confessed.
To murdering his daughters.
Yeah.
Like, he did do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. No, he never confessed to murdering his daughters.
He confessed to the murder of his wife.
Yeah.
But not his daughters.
Yeah, not his daughters.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, if you can kill your wife, but then at that point, I'd call the police and be like, hey, she was doing this to our daughters. I tried to stop her. That would have been a better story, in my opinion. Right? Oh, she was killing the daughters, and I had to get her off, and I stabbed her.
Well, that's the story that he said.
Yeah, but then he said he blacked out and he killed her. He shouldn't have said he blacked out. You know, he should have just called right away instead of loading their bodies in.
Yeah.
He should have just been like, hey, this is what
that.
happened. I can't believe it's he would have gotten away with it.
I agree with that. The reason why I agree with that is because that's how I feel like an innocent person does it. Right?
Right.
Again, like, if man, it's really bad that I think about this, but I've watched so many true crime stories that I've thought, like, what if I'm in this case, right? Where, like, God forbid, I have blood in my hands, what would I do? Because I have a fucking heart and I have a fucking conscience, I think I would just immediately turn myself in.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I wouldn't even do all this bullshit. Be like, no, just put me in jail. Like, I did it.
Right.
Even unless, like, I had a solid reason, right? Like, if I said it was self-defense, which, again, like, they have to prove that out. The other thing I want to talk to you about is, remember how I told you, like, that guy snitched on him?
Yeah.
How do you were kind of, like, weirded out by that. How do you feel about that?
That the guy snitched on him?
Yeah.
I was totally okay with it.
Okay, because you were just like,
Reason why is because there's a snitching culture right now going on, and that's for a different podcast. We'll talk about that another time. But I think...
Talk about 6ix9ine?
Why do you have to say his name?
We'll take it out of it.
We know you snitched. But anyways, no, there's a whole culture behind that, but you know what? In this instant, it's like, dude, it wasn't even him. I'm pretty sure they would have pulled the records of the GPS of the truck regardless.
Yeah,
they would have gone to the company and been like, hey, there's a company-issued truck. We need to look up the GPS in a murder investigation.
Right.
And the companies usually are like, yo, we don't want anything involved with it. Look up whatever you want. You know, and boom, bam, done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay, just like, again, an FYI, I think even though I've watched the Netflix special, I don't really think the Netflix special is that good.
Okay.
Like, I think they talk a lot about the details leading up to it. They don't do a lot to talk about, like, what actually happened.
God damn.
Or like what happened, and also, like, the preceding, like, not the preceding, is it preceding events? The subsequent events. Right, like about how, like, the dealing with trial and everything, right? Sure. Which, like, the research that I used to build a lot of this podcast is like a year old,
right?
So it's possible that, like, things have changed, and I've since, like, stopped keeping up with it. Okay. But it's possible that things have changed. So he could have confessed to it at that point. So what I'm saying is, I'm not a good true crime person. I just like to watch things. I don't like to tell people things. So do your own research.
Do you think he did it? Do you think he... Well,
we know
he
did it.
We know he did it. Do you think he also killed his daughter?
Oh, I absolutely think he... Absolutely, I think he killed his daughter.
I'm just saying, why would you kill your daughter? You should have just killed the wife. That's it. Be done with it. Be like, Mommy went away. If I would do it, that's how I do it. Actually, I do it the first way. I would, kill everybody and then call the police and be like, yo, she was strangling them. I had to do something. I don't know, she's hurt or something. She's passed out. I don't know, I'm freaking out. Can you please come? Please, I need help. But if I was to do it, OJ, right? If I did it.
Yeah, that's true. OJ did write a book of how he would do it. Yep.
Exactly.
OJ did, fucking weirdo.
Exactly. All right, well, that was the case of Chris Watts, huh?
Chris Watts, yeah.
That's
so again,
on Netflix.
You can watch, there's a ton of stuff
What's
about
it called?
It's called American Murder, The Family Next Door.
American Murder, The Family Next Door.
Right, yeah.
Interesting.
Also, the only other thing I want to say about this documentary is I don't think it does a good job talking about the case, but it does really humanize Shanann, which is something that a lot of these true crime cases fail to do, right? It's so much more about the people that they're accusing, and you lose the victim, right? Which is actually what you have to remember, right? Is that somebody died, people died, and so they do a really good job of humanizing who Shanann was. So you feel like you know her, and you feel really sad that she's gone. Gotcha. So rest in peace to Shanann.
Rest in peace, Shanann.
But
we're sorry this happened to you and your daughters.
Yeah, you deserve so much better.
Power to the family.
Power to the family. Sorry. But also, Chris Watts can fucking rot in jail.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. Also, honestly,
is it a life sentence?
I'm gonna just he's gonna do. Yeah, I don't think like Colorado is like a death penalty state. I think it's just be a life sentence. I think he got like put into a maximum security prison.
Oh yeah.
But again, I hope he rots in jail. And also, Nicole, bitch, you need to stop it.
Right?
Like,
why you a trifling asshole?
Exactly.
Why you a trifling asshole coming around here to a man with 2 kids, third on the way? You bitch ass. this.
Exactly.
Straight
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. You know what? I got Nicole.
Ridiculous.
You
Don't be trifling.
You would trifle.
She didn't get arrested though, right?
She didn't.
No, she didn't really
because
do anything.
they can't prove that she had anything to do with it.
Right.
Right.
But I don't think she really did either. I think he just did it.
Yeah.
It could be one of those like fucked up things, like how I think they said like Reagan had an assassination attempt on him, right? Mm-hmm. The guy who tried to do it was doing it to get some sort of actress's attention. Mm-hmm. So he might have done that for that, right? He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him just to prove how much I love you," and bullshit like that.
And I would just been like, "Don't do that.
Yeah.
There's so many other things you can do to show me you love me."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Hear that to all men and women. Like, there's so many things. You have to exhaust every single avenue multiple times before you get to kill somebody. You know, have you ever heard that saying, "I'd kill for you"? Okay, just please don't.
Don't
please
kill
don't.
for me.
Please don't. Like, don't do that. Like, why are we at this point that you need to kill for me?
Well,
like, can't we just call the police?
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Case. That's a fucked up case.
Yeah, it's a fucked up case. But go watch the Netflix series, and yeah.
And tell us what you feel about it, how you feel about it. Maybe you know something that we don't.
Yeah, dude, feel free to school me. I'm always willing to learn more about cases. Yeah.
She's a true crime junkie. I'm not, so I would love to know more about all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, let us know how you feel. Yeah. Are we good, Ayesha?
I think we're good, Avi.
All right.
Hey, Avi.
Hey, Ayesha.
What are you doing here?
Halloween special.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.